Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want you guys to continue to pray for me by leaving a dislike on this video. I am approaching. Actually, next week will be the 2 year anniversary of when I began my art career. If there's one thing that the art career, the 2 years of making art has taught me, it is that we don't have a whole lot, right? The average American here in the United States is literally two heartbeats away from complete chaos in their lives, and which is why I started the art project in the first place, right? You got to remember where I was 2 years ago. I had a couple toxic jobs, and I wasn't free to walk away from either one of those jobs. And oftentimes, it's like an adult version of playing Simon Says, right? At my jobs. I'm not joking when I say that. The phone rings at an off hour. Your boss wants you in at an off hour in 15 minutes, which on its own is might not be the end of the world, but you got to remember that phone could ring at any time. You basically you can't be more than 15 minutes away from geographically from the office, right? So you could forget about meetups. You could forget about on your off day taking a side trip somewhere, right? Because the phone might ring, right? And that's that. Today I wouldn't worry so much about it now that I have a side hustle, and also I've been a little bit more selective on what I do for a living, so it hasn't happened as much, right? I mean, and so uh, and then okay, so I begin my art career, and then I quickly realize I don't have a whole lot of resources to devote to that either. When I started, uh, well, I didn't have a whole lot of time on my hands, and I also didn't have a whole lot of money on my hands as well. I had to forego a number of things to bankroll that initial investment into all the gear and the bismuth, and so that part wasn't 100% fun. It was fun watching the bismuth stack up, giving up the vacations, and giving up the nice meals. Yeah, I could have had better days, right? Let's put it that way. And then also the health effects of these all nighters and potentially toxicity and chemical toxicity from the metals that I was working with, burns, accidents, and also the mental health aspects of isolating oneself, right? Because let's face it, not too many people like to come over and watch me pour bismuth, and so it's not a very socially active activity, right? So, why do I do this to myself? Well, to support a healthy relationship with my boss at my day job, right? So it goes to show just how little there is, right? I'm recording this in August of 2024. I haven't really been taking good care of my mental health. I mean, in terms, uh, let's see, in the last 2 years, where all have I gone on vacation? I did go to Mexico that one time, right? To what part of Mexico was that? I can't even remember the name. It's south of here. Obviously, I went to see the solar eclipse in. There was one in Albuquerque, and then another one in Dallas, right? Kerrville, right? Well, that was it. I, I, I really love my art projects. I love that I have a healthy boundaries with my boss, but I'll love it a lot more when I'm holding a boarding pass and boarding the plane to Poland. I'll love all of this a lot more. That's the main thing that has been missing in my life, right? I'll also love it a lot more when I can order a sizable amount of bismuth in one go, enough to change the price of bismuth, right? Right now, I'm just kind of I'm just buying, and the price just stays the same. I'm not a big enough player just yet, right? Okay, so and I'll love it a whole lot more when I'm not dealing with chronic uh, physical and mental health issues. Right now, I'm kind of backsliding with my binge eating problems, in large part because of my art. You see how constrained everything is. Right, in order to have a healthy boundary at work, the art projects, not eating well, the eating causing other problems in my work, and it just goes to show that how little, and then not being able to take a trip, and all the rest. Right. So pray for two things. Number one, pray that one day I'll be walking on board a plane, sitting down and flying to Poland. And number two, one day when I click the buy it now and order bismuth, it will be so much that the price will adjust. Just due to I'll be in control of that price, right? And also a good health, not having to think about my health every day, right? I mean, today I did eat a whole lot better than I did over the weekend, but it required active thought. I want it to come naturally, right? Those are probably the three main things that I can think about praying for at the moment. So please leave a dislike on this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. By the way, I often have dreams at night that later come to pass. Yesterday, I dreamt that I had come into some money for some reason. I don't know if it was from my art project, a good pour of it. I'm not sure if it was from any of my investments doing well. Um, I don't know. I came into some money, and I went online to buy a few $1 million worth of bismuth in one go. And so that was fun. I didn't even get. I didn't. The dream didn't last long enough for the bismuth to arrive or for me to do anything with it. But that inspired me to refocus my goals, and so I do think one day I'll have an art piece that sells for something good, right? Uh, Hopefully, by the end of this year, I'll have a piece that goes for like 10,000 or something. I do think I will reach that point. Uh, as for as for whether or not it will make me a big player in buying bismuth in the market, not sure about that part of the equation. But I do want to get involved in bigger and bigger One of the nice things I love about big art projects like that is that I have autism. I don't like loud, crowded environments, and art doesn't lend itself to that, right? Uh, for example, you will not find me at a Taylor Swift concert or at one of her boyfriend's events because I can't deal with loud, crowded environments like that, right? But art auctions don't tend to behave like that. I don't know why, right? Anyway, yeah, I had a dream. I've had a number of dreams in the past that have come to pass. I dreamt that. I dreamt that when I was 8 years old. I had dreamt that my family and I were traveling on the road, and at the time my younger brother wasn't born yet. It was three of us. We were traveling on the road, and we all needed to use the restroom really badly. And we were on the road, and I suggested, why don't we go into that Kmart? And the three of us made a mad dash into the Kmart to use the restroom. And I woke up. Thank God it wasn't for real. I still don't understand why with dreams. I was 8 years old when I dreamt that. A couple days later, we go out to eat. It was a Saturday. We went out to a fast food place or some other restaurant. And we leave to go to a shopping mall. And all of a sudden, we realize we all did need to use the restroom. I look up, and Kmart's right across the street from where we were. And I suggested, why don't we go to that Kmart? And as soon as I said it, I realized that, did I just dream about that 2 nights ago? And we made a mad dash into the Kmart, and I'm like, this is exactly how it's playing out in my dream. I couldn't believe what was happening. And I was 8 years old, and I told my parents, and they didn't believe me. And I said that maybe dreams are how we predict the future. And ever since then, every dream I've ever had has eventually come to pass. Some of them take longer than others. I had a dream that I let's see, I dreamt that my girlfriend and I had a falling out, and she claimed that I had a disease and needed to keep distance away from me. This was in late 2019. Not long after that, people really were keeping 6 feet away from each other. I dreamt that well, I dreamt silver prices went negative, but then a couple weeks later, oil prices went negative. It was kind of weird. In my dream, this coin dealer was giving me all this silver, claiming that the official price of silver had gone negative, and if you got caught with silver by the federal government, not only would they confiscate it, but then they would fine you for it because it was a negative price. So this coin dealer was just giving me all this silver for me to hide, and I could keep it if I could hide it. And not long after that, oil prices went negative. I dreamt that, and this one hasn't come to pass yet, but I'm optimistic because all of my dreams eventually come to pass. I dreamt that Peter Schiff had the price of silver had gone to $60,000 an ounce, and Peter Schiff was on the air bragging about how he was right. He was right. There's all this inflation. In the dream, I dreamt that I was going to retire and I was going to move to Ukraine. And this was at the beginning of the Russia invasion of Ukraine. And I was on my way to Ukraine. I had 1,000 ounce silver bar, and then I woke up. And I was like, oh, too bad it was a dream, but that's good because all of my dreams eventually come to pass. Now, here's a scary one. 2 years ago, I had quit masturbating for 60 some days. And around the time of day 40, I had a wet dream. I dreamt that, in my dream, it had been years and years and years since I quit masturbating. I dreamt that I went to visit Polish idol Evelina Falenta. And because of how long it had been since I had masturbated, combined with the fact that she's likely a virgin, I got her pregnant with 10 babies at one time. And she was huge. And surprisingly, in my dream, I wasn't concerned about it, or I was more concerned about her well-being. And I was pushing her around in a wheelchair, and we were just having a great time. And it didn't seem to bother me for some reason. It didn't seem to bother her either, which is what makes it scary. And then I woke up and realized that was a wet dream. But after the dream, I obviously didn't tell her about that dream, but I decided to talk to her. I am Facebook friends with her. And surprisingly, we had good conversations since then. It makes me worry about the dream because all of my dreams eventually come to pass in one way or another. But I'm starting to think that in my dream, I wasn't all that worried about it. So maybe it really is meant to be, and that's fine as well. All right, please continue to pray for me. Maybe I really will buy millions of dollars of bismuth at some point because I dreamt about it a couple nights ago. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.